Hey, what's up, everyone? Guten Tag, Dobry den. My name is Maxime Karabine. I am a French-Canadian MMA journalist based in Montreal, Canada. December 2025, I had the chance to experience my very first live Oktagon event, and I immediately fell in love. Since then, I cannot think about anything else than Oktagon, which is why I decided to create this podcast, the OKTAPOD, where I will talk 100% of the time about Oktagon. With me, I have the chance to be joined by someone I've met in Prague in December 2025 at Oktagon 81. He is an amazing MMA journalist. He is my friend from another land. He is Patrick McCorry. What's up, Pat?
Hey, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to this very first Octapod. You were in Stuttgart this past Saturday. You experienced the amazing Oktagon 83 card. You're back home, had the chance to digest the event. How did everything went for you, Pat?
Yeah, outside of Deutsche Bahn being terrible, Deutsche Bahn being terrible, that's just a classic. The event was amazing. From the first fight, the first few fights, it was a decision.
Mm-hmm.
After decision, the crowd started slowly to die away after the Nathan Haywood fight. It kind of slowly started to die away. They weren't the most exciting fights. Lucy Pudilova and Katerina Lena, they kind of got the crowd going a little bit more. But then came kind of the fight that we all said behind the scenes that's really going to get the crowd going, and that was Daniel Schwind versus Brian Manning. Daniel Schwind fighting out of Stuttgart versus the insane Irishman who we all know what happened. The Irishman, he walks out as Jigsaw, which was, walks out. He rode out for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And, did the business. He looked, outstanding. Couldn't ask for a better debut, right?
Oh man, that was the fight of the prelim. This card, you've talked about the many decisions on the prelim, but obviously it was 4 out of 5 fights on the main card that ended up before the final bell. So it was an amazing card, early contender for card of the year, to my opinion. But the walkout of the year will be without a doubt Brian Manning, who came out, like you said, as Jigsaw, man. And he had the attitude with it. Not only he was disguised and he had the bike, but you could see in his face when he was watching the crowd and everything, he impersonated that character, which he has tattooed on his chest. We saw in your interview with him after the fight. But yeah, not only did he deliver on the walkout, but the knockout on the walkout, but the knockout himself was amazing. What a guy, Brian Manning. I didn't know much about the guy. Now he's 6-0, I believe, in pro MMA. What can you tell us about Brian Manning?
Yeah, so I kind of became aware of Brian just around, I think it was his fight last before Oktagon. I think Scott sent it to me and was like, dude, look at this guy. I want Oktagon to sign him. And I looked through his highlights. Shout out to MMA Verified, who, he sent me a couple other clips. And I was like, this guy is like, what you describe in MMA as a raw talent. Like, he's got all the skills, got the ability. Can he translate it? And, he did. I was worried when he first made his debut. I preferred the matchup he previously had against Daniel Lagaki that he had to pull out with a broken hand. A guy that's a little less experienced, but then, that's the kind of guy Brian is. He comes in against a guy who's, I believe, 8-4 or 8-3 before this fight.
Yeah. A
lot more experience. Fought at the highest level of Oktagon against guys like Vlasto Shepo. And he didn't bat away, in the pre-fight press conference. He's calling him Schwindy. He's saying Schwinny is chinny, all these kind of things. And so he talks the talk. I'll say he rides the walk. And then, that knockout, at first I spoke to him after. He was like, yeah, I was trying to be a little more tentative. We call his style patient chaos. He's very calculated. If we watch that back, he's very calculated. He waits for his openings. And he's one of them, similar to Will Fleury, where you make one mistake and he's going to capitalize on it. And that's exactly what he did. Daniel Schwind let him get too close, and he landed that bomb of a right hand. And to me, that stoppage was ridiculously too late. He took about 15 shots that he really didn't need to take.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the referee kind of gave the hometown guy a chance to get out of it, because he previously did do that in Stuttgart last year against Marek Bartel. So, he was able to get him out of there and put him out multiple times. Really, he kind of drummed his head against the canvas, and and then he wreathed in the boos. But one of my favorite parts of that whole thing, and obviously it's something they experience when you're in the arena, is while Daniel Schwind's walking out to many men, Brian Manning is in the cage singing and dancing to many men and just reveling in the moment. He loved it, you know?
Yeah, man. And he did good. He silenced the crowd because the crowd was shocked after that knockout. And Schwind was doing quite good with the kicks, used his kicks very well. Manning was all about the fist, wanted to land that big punch. He did at 4 minutes of the very first round. I tend to agree with you. I think it was kind of a late stoppage, but hometown guy, referee wanted to give him a chance. But what a way to start the event. Then we had the first fight on the main card, which was the only fight that went the distance. Marco Elpidio, funny enough, I had the chance to see him compete here in cold-ass Montreal 2 years ago. Actually, it was in Quebec City. But yeah, he competed for our local MMA promotion here in Quebec. And he's good, man. He shocked everybody here because he beat our top guy, like Alex Morgan, one of the best 45er we have here in Canada. And Marco Elpidio came all the way from Mexico and beat the guy in his hometown. So that was quite something. So I was aware of Marco Elpidio. And I think it was his second or third bout for Oktagon. And he kind of do the same thing every time at Oktagon. He starts real slow, finish the fight well in the third round. Too late for Marco, and he lost a decision against a very popular guy. I think I understood is Arian Topolage, who had like the crowd going for him too.
Yeah, Arian Topolage is what you described, similarly to Marco. It's kind of like a reverse of Marco, where the first few rounds he gets going and then he tires out. Meanwhile, Marco is a guy that starts slow but then ends really well. But the whole discussion was previously with Arian is, can he control his emotions? About almost a year ago, he fought Dennis Frimpong, and Dennis really, really got under his skin to the point where, like, if you watch that fight back, Arian pretty much starts the fight by running at Dennis. And by the end of the third round, he was so exhausted that he practically collapsed and lost by a TKO just because Dennis, I don't know if you've ever watched Dennis Frimpong fight, but he's one of them where he just exhausts you so much. So that was the kryptonite for Arian. He had to be stretchered out of the cage. Like, he was that exhausted. So all the questions were, against a guy like Marco, who, as you said, is a slow starter, but can really bang with the round, is where's Arian's energy at? Is he going to try and conserve it a little bit? Because, what's going to happen in the third round? And pretty much that fight went as expected. Arian was a little bit more patient, but again, like similarly to Brian Manning, of patient chaos, landing really effective shots, looked good early. But then that third round, he came out and he was completely flat, exhausted. And Elpidio, he took that round. And one of the wildest moments, when I just finished interviewing Brian Manning, so I go from one wild situation to another wild one, and he's coming out and he's fighting. He gets the decision read, and the fan kind of boos, right? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe he's a friend of Marco or didn't enjoy the third round from Arian. Arian, he shouted back at him. I don't know what they showed on the broadcast, but he shouted back at him, kind of called him maybe a not so nice word, a bit of a slur. And immediately it was just like, dude, again, the emotions are still riding high. But that's the kind of guy that Arian is. He fights with his heart on his sleeve. And it's exciting for Arian because I think they are trying to rebuild him a little bit. I am very interested to see what they do with him, though.
Yeah, man. It looks like he has a bright future, has a great record too, and he fought like a very experienced Mexican in Marco Elpidio, who has like twice, if not 3 times, his experience. So hopefully for Arjan, he's going to be able to control his temper in the future. But yeah, I thought like when he walked out, I thought like the crowd was behind him. I think I heard the commentary say that like he's a popular guy in Germany. He represents Albany, but I think he lives in Germany. So future's bright for him.
Albanian, and there's a lot of Albanians in Germany, similarly to how there's a lot of Turkish people in Germany. They really get behind the Turkish German fighters. So yeah, it's a similar kind of fan base. They really do get behind their fighters.
I'm looking forward to see both guys again in action for sure. Then we had the first finish of the main card, which was a little bit of an underwhelming finish, if you ask me. I don't know how it felt in the arena. Alexander Popek, which is the German guy who won the fight. So obviously the crowd was hyped for that. Samuel Chavaria, not very familiar with the guy, got sent to the ground by Popek, and it was all she wrote. Popek was able to sink in the rear naked choke in the very first round and end the fight in like a bit of an underwhelming finish, if you ask me.
Yeah, look, I think what we saw was just a different level. I think Samuel Chavaria knew that going in. I actually got a chance to speak with him a little bit afterwards, just off camera. And I did feel bad because he was supposed to fight against Frederick Vosgrune, who, has I believe a 5-0 record. He's the guy that Oktagon wants to build up in Germany. He pulls out of the fight about a week before with a pretty significant shoulder injury. So we don't know when we're going to see the Neanderthal again. But then many were like, oh, who's he going to get? Are they going to bring in some debutante? What are they going to do? And they bring in Alex Popek, who was the number one contender at light heavyweight, has made the decision to move down to middleweight, but also has a new management and has said that he wants to fight more often, which recently it's kind of been he only fights in Munich. So I guess that's the first step for him fighting regularly. But it was a completely different level.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the matchmaking, but that was kind of what we expected from that fight. A dominant, I would say, pummeling. I thought Chavaria looked decent early, but then again, I just feel bad for Chavaria. I don't think that was the right matchup to make for him. Meanwhile, I think they are just building Popek on the other side of that. Absolutely. For Alex Popek, yeah, he gets his first submission win of his MMA career, but I don't think that fight does much for him. I'm interested to see what they do with him at middleweight, because that middleweight division is a serious shark tank.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see fights like Dominic Humberger or something. I don't know if you're aware of Dominic Humberger, but he was supposed to fight in Düsseldorf last week, but pulled out. He's fighting in April in his hometown, or what I believe is his hometown, and he fought in KSW, and he just generally goes to war. If anyone watching hasn't seen Humberger versus Engizek, he loses that fight, but go watch it. It is one of the fights of the year, maybe the best fight I've ever seen in person in Bratislava last year. He goes to war every time. He's knocked out guys like Mark Hume, who you might remember from The Ultimate Fighter. Prior to that, he knocked out Pirat Kristofic, which is another Czech legend or a Slovakian legend. So again, man, he just goes to war every time. So that's a fight where I could see Alex Popek being tested a little bit. But yeah, I don't, as you said, a little underwhelming. We all kind of knew how that fight was going to go, obviously, just looking at the records alone. So I do feel for Chavaria on that one. But again, Popek does what he has to do, comes in on 4 days' notice and wins.
Yeah, man, totally. That's a great way to put it, Pat. And I will definitely go watch that Hamburger fight from Bratislava after we finish this podcast.
I could do a 2-hour podcast on that fight, by the way. It's one of the most ridiculous fights.
All right, let's do it next week. What a bummer in the fight after that, between Emilio Kisua versus the Frenchman Yorick Montagnac. I don't know if you expected much from that fight. I don't know if you're familiar with both these guys. Emilio is still undefeated. Yorick is a big guy, big Frenchman, who came up like ready to scrap for sure, but then he kind of like blew his knee in the first minute of the fight, and that was it. Referee called it. Good call by the referee. Yorick didn't want to continue, and obviously he was very hurt. And I think I saw on his Instagram that he pulled something in his knees and might have tear something in his knees too. Mm-hmm. He's gonna go he's going to get like MRI and stuff. So we're going to find out more about this injury. But that was a bummer because those two guys look ready to scrap.
Yeah, it was upsetting for sure because, the light heavyweight division's in a bit of a weird spot. Will Fleury's kind of cleared it out a little bit. Obviously, Alex Popek moving down kind of killed the potential title fight there. So even for Will Fleury, he's kind of waiting on a chance to defend the light heavyweight title because he wants to then subsequently move down to middleweight and fight for that title, potentially become the triple champ. So, it was kind of like, okay, Kisua, is the big German prospect. He's got a willing dance partner. Is potential big German prospect. He's fighting out of the same gym as Alina Dalaslan and Arian Topolage, the Planet Eater gym, which is a very good gym in Germany, in Stuttgart. So he gets the chance to fight in front of his home crowd, his second Oktagon fight. And he started well, but so did Montagnac. Montagnac was starting well. I didn't see too much of the fight. I was backstage. But then, yeah, as you said, Montagnac takes a step. It doesn't even look like he really like made a bad step in any way. Like a lot of the times when fighters tear their knees, they take a bad step back or something. He just kind of stepped to the side, and you could see right away it popped and it went. I don't know whether he pulled it, he tore it, but either way, he couldn't continue and was stretchered out of the arena. Just very unfortunate, even for Kusua. You know, he's very upset. You saw it in the cage as well. I believe he threw his mouthpiece and was visibly upset. But yeah, it's a frustrating one because we're waiting on the future light heavyweight, and that was supposed to be kind of it. Unfortunate for Montagnac too as well. We don't know how long the injury is going to be. Hopefully not too long. So sending my thoughts and wishes over to Jaric, as you pronounced it. And yeah, it was. There's not really much more to say other than he tore his knee. It's very unfortunate. Maybe that's a fight you book again down the line. I am interested to see what they do with Emilio, because there's not really that many guys above him now, because he's, believe, ranked number 5, I want to say.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of his reaction in the cage. Obviously, at first, I thought he was mad because, I mean, the fight ended promptly and he didn't have the chance to fight. So I think he was mad, but then I think I saw a little bit of like excitement in his face. But fighting in front of his home crowd, it's still a W in the end. So like I wasn't quite sure what to make of his reaction. But obviously, you want to fight, you want to put on a show in front of your hometown. He did not, but still got the W. He's not the one who got injured, so at least maybe he can come back and fight in the next couple of Octagon event. And yeah, hopefully Jaric is going to be fine and ready to fight later this year. But then, man, it is really when the fun scrap at heavyweight. I was like willing to see Josh Parisian back in action after his UFC stint. I was happily surprised to see Josh Parisian in Octagon. We saw him here in the on the other side of the ocean, fighting for the UFC for like I think it was 5 or 6 years. Fun heavyweight, like not like obviously the top of the cream, but quite good and fought great guys too. So I was excited to see him compete in Octagon, which I said at the beginning of the show is by far my favorite promotion now. Fought Lazar Todev in a fun scrap. Obviously, Josh is old and on the back 9 of his career. Ended his career after this fight. I believe he retired, right, Pat, after?
Yeah, he retired in a very emotional but professional way. You know, I like what he said. He wants to go hang out with his kids and go fishing and do woodworking. That's what he wants to do. He just felt that his heart wasn't in it. I actually got a chance to catch up with him after the fight. I went over to the fighter hotel with some of the fighters, and you know, we were talking, and it was just he said he was like, he's fine to end his career that way. He got a chance to fight overseas, but really his heart wasn't in it. He realized during the week that he misses his kids. He wants to be home. He said he went to the shopping mall across the street and he saw parents with their kids, and that really got to him. You know, his wife is the big breadwinner anyway. So what, you know, he's the stay-at-home dad. So he felt it was a bit irresponsible. He got to live out his dream. Now it's time to be with his kids and help his kids live out his dream. And we honestly really got to talking, but also in that he said he was really upset they didn't get a chance to, as he said, talk shit to Will Fleury. He really wanted to. So they had a really cool interaction in the hotel. I think they posted an Instagram story together. Really cool interaction with those two. But on the other side, Lazar Todev once again proves he's kind of like he's in that Dustin Poirier kind of mold where, or even like the Justin Gaethje, where he dominantly beats everyone, but cannot get the unified title. It's just like, you know, I think it's from The Waterboy, the movie that Adam Sandler film. This is a very niche reference, but you know, it's just like, oh, so close. He pulls the fishing line up, and it's just like he's reaching out for it. He's so close to it. Even Will has said he is the best and will be the best fighter that he's ever faced. And Will's fought Krzysztof Jotko and Martin Buday and all these guys in the PFL. Lazar Todev, don't let his 13-7 record fool you. He took 5 losses early in his career, but the rest of his wins are dominant. He beat up Patrick Vespasiano, who we saw in Oktagon 81. His only 2 losses are a razor thin split, or I think it was unanimous, but it was a very close fight that he could have won against Hatif Moyle for the belt. That fight was supposed to be a rematch. This is some Oktagon lore for you. Hatif Moyle threw, so they started shouting at each other at the press conference. Hatif Moyle got up and grabbed his belt and threw it at Lazar Todev, and it hit Pavel Neruda on the head and cut him open. And then Oktagon wanted to fine him for his action, and he didn't like that. So he, on the fight day, as the event was going on, just said, "No, I'm not fighting." So Todev never got that payback. Earned his way back to the title and lost in another banger fight with Will Fleury, where he made Will Fleury look like he just got chewed like a piece of chewing gum. Like half of his face was out, in another war. So Lazar is really good, but he's in that unfortunate position where he has lost to Will. But take nothing away from that performance. That was amazing. I don't know about you. That was one of my performances of the night outside of Brian Manning and Mago Machaev.
Absolutely. He was faster, obviously younger. It's hard. Finished a UFC vet in the end of the second round with the knees to the body a la GSP versus Matt Serra 2. It was quite the scene.
Something I'd love to see more as well. Body, knees on the ground.
Yeah, man. No, Lazar Todev looks real good for sure. Obviously, like I said, Josh Parisian looked a little bit old and out of it in the fight, but still a very skilled heavyweight who fought the best of the best. And Lazar Todev was able to put him away. So obviously, I wish I will see Lazar Todev in action live one day. Amazing performance, and obviously one of the performance of the night. But the last 2 fights were also very good, Pat, which we will come about right now. What about the next superstar, if not the German superstar right now at Oktagon, Alina Dalaslan, which I was not familiar with recently. Obviously, I am now. What a star from Stuttgart. Finished Karolina Sobek, PFL vet, in the 3rd round. Fought very well. Smart fight, defensive-wise. And then blitzes, find the finish in the late stage of the fight. Amazing performance by Alina Dalaslan. The crowd was behind her, obviously, chanting her name throughout the fight. How was it in the arena for that fight, Pat?
Yeah, where I was stood for that fight was right by her fan section. So I stood where she walked out. So she walked right past me, and then right above me was her fan section. She had 2 blocks of her devoted fans that bought tickets in that area, and they had scarves, they had T-shirts and everything. But the whole arena was chanting for it. And what we saw from Alina there, that was what we come to expect with Alina Dalaslan. She's technical. She's got beautiful boxing. She doesn't really throw too many kicks, but she's got really technical boxing. She really sets it up well. What she had for the first time since her last fight against Katarina Lehner was a willing dance partner. Sobek was throwing. She was landing. I believe she busted up Alina's nose from what I saw. And Alina stayed calm. She stayed patient. She landed the shots. And then, as you said, at the end, she blitzed forward and caught Sobek and finished her. And it was a really impressive finish. And the emotion of her poured out afterwards, because her last fight wasn't the best performance. She fought against a very tough veteran in Katarina Lehner, who we also saw on the card against Lucy Pudilova.
Yeah.
And many thought maybe Lehner even won the fight. It was a very close fight. But Dalaslan is amazing. She's very talented, but we have to remember she's only 5-0 now. Mm-hmm. She's had 5 fights, and she only made her pro debut, I believe, last year in Stuttgart. Like, she's had an unbelievable year. But in saying that, she's got a lot of pressure on her. Kind of Oktagon's put a lot of hopes and dreams on her as being the big German ticket seller. And you can see on the walkout, and even after the fight, that emotion just kind of poured out of her. She was like, I got the win. Everyone can shut up about that last fight. I am so good, which she is. She even surprised me in certain ways. I thought Sobek was a dangerous one for her just because of the size of her. I believe also Sobek moved down a weight class for that fight. So, she put it on her, got a big finish, and on her bigger and better things, she called out Lucy Pudilova after the fight, which is a very interesting one because that belt is vacant. And Pudilova said, if it's for the title, I'll take the fight. Pudilova is a UFC veteran, someone who has maybe 5-6 times the amount of fights as Alina. So
yeah,
a big test for her, but that is one that we could potentially see headline in Berlin, as that's your next card as well.
Yeah, that would be insane. She has 4 finishes in her 5 professional bout. Alina Dalaslan. I'm getting to know her better and better. Like every day, I'm looking at there's a bunch of like documentaries and nice production videos online about her.
Have you seen her spinning elbow in Frankfurt?
Of course, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, like she finished her first fight with knees and then with punches and then a spinning back elbow and now with the blitz in the 3rd round. Like she has everything that you can ask for. Obviously, she's young. She's only 25, young in her career as well. Like you said, only 5 pro fights. So you tend to you want to push her real fast to the top if you're Oktagon because like she looks good. She's good. Like she's a German fighter in front of her own crowd. But at the same time, she has so much potential that you don't want to burn the candle by the 2 ways. I don't know if you say that in English.
Yeah. But burn the candle at both ends. Yeah. You don't want to melt the wax off, right? She's an exciting fighter, but similar to Brad Manning, she's a bit of a raw talent. She's got very good boxing. She actually got really good takedown defense as well, which we also did see a little bit in that fight. But again, like I don't know if Pudilova is necessarily the right next step, but at the same time, she is ranked number 2. Pudilova's number 1. That's kind of the fight you have to make. That would be the big ticket seller. I'm scared it's too soon because Pudilova is a veteran. She's really, really
Such
good.
A vet. Oh yeah, so smart. Her fight IQ is up there.
I spoke with Lucy afterwards, and she was like, I feel like I fought a couple people like Alina. I fought the boxer heavy fighters, similar to Katarina Lehner. Similar kind of skill set. Maybe Alina's a bit more polished, a bit better, but similar kind of skill set. But Alina's one that I think you could eventually see in the UFC one day, especially if she gets a big win over Pudilova. 25 years old, 6-0, win over. I believe Lehner's a UFC veteran as well. 2 potential UFC vets, at least one if she beats Lucy Pudilova.
Yeah, and Sobek fought it in PFL. She fought
exactly
UFC vet and Aspen Lad and everything, and she finished her. So yeah. She has a very bright future. Obviously, you're right. Lucy Pudilova is no easy fight for anybody. So experienced, but I mean, she's right there. My only concern with Alina, I don't know. I've never seen her live, but she seems small for a bantamweight. I don't know if
she's talked about moving down before as well.
Yeah.
Which I think if she were to go to the UFC, she would. Right now, she's still young, so I don't think she wants to cut too much weight. She doesn't want to put too much damage on her. And while she's winning these fights, why do that, right?
No, you're right.
What's the point? And she's bigger than you think, like denser. She's got a lot of muscle. As you've seen, she's absolutely jacked and ripped. So, the future is very bright. Whether you do the Pudilova fight next or you do another fight similarly to the last one, similar to Manning, I think you got to build up that highlight reel, get her confident, get the hands going, keep the building on the fan base. She has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and she only started fighting last year, like professionally. That's insane growth. She's a superstar for Oktagon, and she's a future superstar in the world of MMA. I do believe that.
Absolutely, man. I'll go open the door for my girlfriend. She went for a run and it's locked. So I will let you introduce the main event, and I'll be right there, Pat.
Yes. So the main event was Mago Machaev and Nico Samsonidze. And prior to that, I said, this fight isn't going to be a finish. This is one of the highest level fights Oktagon has ever put on, because it was. When you look at true skill wise, Mago Machaev and Nico Samsonidze are 2 of the highest skilled featherweights in the division. And the way the fight started was about as expected. Both these guys testing each other on the feet, and Nico started really well. I'm a big fan of Nico Samsonidze. Really, really nice guy behind the scenes. I think his walkout is excellent. I'm not sure how that translates overseas, but I'll explain that in a moment. And they start. Nico looks really good. I believe he kind of punched Mago. He slipped. I believe he sat him down on a leg kick. I would have to rewatch. But then he gets a little, I'll say cute. You know, he tries to get a little cheeky leg kick, drops his hands in punching range. And man, did Mago Machaev make him pay. Wow, what a shot he hit him with. And then followed up, knocked him out on the ground. And that was all she wrote. First round knockout for Mago Machaev, who is damn good. And we all knew that going in, but even he surprised me with that one.
Pat, I don't know if it's your internet, but something seems to be lagging.
Did I cut out?
Yeah. You're cutting out. Maybe you can just like reconnect. But now it's better.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw everything about Nico. Mistake me if I'm wrong, Pat, but he's the guy that broke his leg a couple fights ago, right?
It was prior to his time with Oktagon. He
outside
broke his leg
Oktagon,
on a, I believe it was a checked leg kick, and that was a big comeback. And then even his last time fighting for the title, he got knocked out as well against Lazar Todev, who we're going to see in the UFC in a couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
In a fight that,
you about
again,
that match.
He was winning. By the way, he was winning that fight in the first round, and then gets clipped. I feel bad for Nico because he's one of them where like you kind of want to see him do it. You know, you want to see him win the title. Similarly to again Lazar Todev and Dustin Poirier, he just can't. He can't get it. And it's tough to see, but I mean, Mago Machaev is just so good.
Man, that left hook, the same one he knocked McCorry Americani with. I saw a couple years ago at Oktagon. This guy is for real, man. This Chechen guy, he is for real. And Nico seems cool, man, but quite tall. His chin is up there, so Mako was able to find the finish early in the fight to become the featherweight champion. And we talked about Alina maybe in the UFC later. I don't know why Mako is not in the UFC yet. Like,
I can see him getting signed in the next few fights because I think what really is now going to be one of the fights that I'm most excited for this year is the fight that they kind of made inside the cage, which was Johnny Palakai, who won 2 weeks ago at Oktagon Düsseldorf. Came into the cage. They're making that fight potentially for Hanover in Johnny Palakai's hometown. That's a sick fight, and Johnny is really, really good. You know, one of his wins, he's the only loss that Islam Dulatov has on his record. The welterweight in the UFC.
Yeah.
He's really
he used
good.
to fight at featherweight.
Which also, how?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Johnny Palakai coming off a dominant beating of a Cage Warriors fighter, a former Cage Warriors fighter who fought for the title there. Wins over Czech prospect like Jakub Batfalski, who's one of the top guys in the Czech Republic. Like really good, really high level, really dominant. I believe hasn't lost a single round in Oktagon. Hasn't really like had to dig too deep because he just dominantly wins. Meanwhile, Mago as well, a kind of very dominant fighter, very, very talented. So this fight's really, again, similar to the Nico fight. I don't know how it's going to go. Because it's just two guys, maybe these are the top two featherweights. These guys are really good, and they're really keen on it as well. I spoke with Johnny afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, I can't wait for this. I'm already starting my training camp now." It's gonna be a sick fight, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Absolutely, man. Oktagon 83. You've said it before. I saw your interview and everything. You said, on paper, this is one of the best cards I've seen at Oktagon, and it sure delivered. The knockout of Makhachev on Samsonitz at the end was just the cherry on the sundae, the cherry on the cake. It was beautiful. Alina, of course. We didn't get the chance to see the big blonde heavyweight. He was supposed to fight on that card, right?
He was supposed to fight against Samuel Chavaria, who Popek dominantly beat.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a shame. We don't really know what's going on with Fosgrune. We don't know how bad his shoulder injury is. There's talk of him needing surgery and might be out for 6 to 9 months. There's talk maybe if he rehabs, he can make the Berlin card. So we don't know. Viral sensation. We don't know whether he'll fight for Oktagon again, seeing if his contract's going to be up or not. I don't know. I know he's getting some big offers from promotions like FNC. So we don't really know what's going on with that. So it's a shame it wasn't on it. he moved a lot of tickets, but at the same time, I think the card still delivered without him.
Oh my God, it sure did. I had the FOMO watching it from Montreal. That's for sure.
We
What a
missed you.
card!
We missed you there. I was saying to Scott, I was like, man, we need our Canadian friend out here.
Yeah,
I didn't have Dan out in Stuttgart this time, so
yeah.
I was missing kind of having a mate there. No, I had my camera boy Frankie, but shout out to him. But
Shout out Frankie.
Missing my Canadian brother. And
no worries.
Yeah.
I'll be back as soon as possible, Pat.
Yeah.
Ostrava in 2 weeks on Valentine's Day. A title fight, welterweight, Paradiser versus Brito. Big fight, right?
Huge fight. Thank God I don't have a girlfriend, so I can go to this. No. God, if you can send one my way, that would be nice. But no, this is how I want to bring in Valentine's Day. It's just violence. And that's what it's going to be. Ronnie Paradiser, the former lightweight champion, his only loss in the last little while are to Lazar Todev. Last time out, beautiful elbow over Geraldo Neto, who I believe was the LFA champion. And moving up from lightweight, I was worried because he really struggled to make weight, which I think did contribute to his loss to Lazar Todev in the tournament. Because he was consistently kind of diminished. But he's a big guy, and even at welterweight, he looked like he cut a lot. So I'm very interested to see Kike Brito fought on the Contender Series against Oban Elliott, a guy that maybe international fans are aware of. Really, really great kickboxer, former Oktagon champion, wants that title back. He had a chance to win it back, but he got knocked out by Ion Serdu with a ridiculous head kick. Last time out, knocked out Joyton Lutterbach, which was very, very impressive. Now he gets a chance to fight for the title. He actually never lost. He vacated it when he fought on the Contender Series, came back while it was still vacant and tried to win it again. So he never lost the title. Very, really, really, really cool fighter. Really good kickboxing, unbelievable power. Oktagon promote him as one punch man because he does just knock guys out. He was one of the first to beat David Kozma. Obviously, Kozma's on a bit of a skid now, but he was one of the first to really, really do it in a great fight. This fight is so high level. I would like to see Paradiser maybe try and take it to the ground a little bit. But again, similarly to Nico and Mago, I really don't know how this fight's going to go. And I'm going to sit back, maybe buy myself an arena box of popcorn and just enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of the fights of the year, but also on that card, obviously, I don't know if you're going to intro this, but Mudrok and Fedor Duric is an unbelievable fight. Two of Europe's top prospects.
Exciting, man. Yeah, the card's stacked for sure. We'll be watching from home. Jakub versus Yugen. Obviously, Kuzma's on the card as well. Legochki, Dalinka. I'm excited for this card. Like, there's not an Octagon card that I'm not excited for. This one is sure ain't one. Before I let you go, Pat, what about Lozan Keita versus Nathaniel Wood?
I'll say on two sides because I'm very familiar with Lozan and I'm very familiar with Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood's being screwed here in terms of matchmaking. He's a guy that he doesn't say no to the UFC and maybe at the fault of his own, but he's really good. His only loss in the last 7 fights is a fight that he was cheated on and robbed in. Could be 7-0 in his last 7 at featherweight. Since moving to featherweight, he's looked amazing. But man, Lozan Keita is really good. He's been kind of the guy outside the UFC that he's rejected the UFC on multiple occasions. And now he comes in. He was supposed to fight in Paris against Patricio Pitbull, which already tells you how good Lozan Keita is. Misses weight. Patricio Pitbull goes, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna fight you. You have to make your weight." There's a lot of speculation whether Keita's not gonna fight in the UFC then, which was really scary. But then when I spoke with him in October, he said, "No, I'm still fighting in the UFC, and I'll see you soon in London." And that was the fight that made. I knew he was going to get a fight in the rankings or close to it. I do feel bad for Nathaniel in terms of that it's a really tough matchup that, like, for him not to get a ranked opponent, instead he has to fight back again and kind of defend his spot. He's kind of one of them where he's like, there's the top 15 and then there's number 16. So he's been kind of hard done by, but I can see it going either way. Nathaniel is really, really good, really technical, really clean. but on the other side, he can get hit a lot. We saw that in his last fight. He got dropped bad in the first round. And if you get dropped by Keita, you're not surviving that. We've seen that in the Samsonite fight. We've seen it against Paradiser. If you get dropped by Keita, it's over. He closes the show, and the Black Panther does it. But yeah, it's a really great fight for the featherweight division. It's a showcase bout. That UFC London card that they've announced is stacked in general, though. Another former Oktagon alum is Shamrock. He's also fighting against Kareem Al-Savadi, which is a fun one. So yeah, Oktagon's in a really great spot right now for sure.
Oh man, it really is, man. It's becoming more and more clear that it's like the biggest promotion in Europe and might be number 2 in the world at the time.
I can confidently say it is, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sending people like Keita and like Shamrock to the UFC. Obviously, we have UFC vet like Josh Parisian. We have Lucy Pudilova. We have great prospect in Alina that fought on the card. Obviously, the Mago, the new champion, who I cannot believe how good that guy is. Who won the belt at Oktagon 83 in Stuttgart. You wore boots on the ground, my man. Thank you so much for chatting with me today about the card. It's an absolute pleasure to talk about Oktagon, and I found the right partner to talk about it.
I'm looking forward to doing more episodes for sure.
Yes, sir. Take care, Pat. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much for the time.
Go follow Pat McCorry on every social. Go follow myself on every social. You have our name down there. And what's the outlet you work for, Pat?
We're about to launch, so I can't really explain too much yet, but we're about to launch, and once we have it all launched, you'll see on my Instagram. So follow my Instagram, and when we launch, that is where you'll find all my work. We're about to launch, maybe potentially before the Hamburg card. That's what we're looking at. So we're going to become the number 1 outlet in Germany.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to that. And obviously follow Oktagon MMA, the best promotion in Europe. And they're coming for the UFC, man.
Oh, yeah.
Peace, everybody.